Hey guys, it's Miki ASMR here, and today I'm going to be reading a Tsukishima Kei ex-listener. This is part 1 to the sequel of 10 Stages of Me and You. This one is titled Losing, Loving, and Choosing You, and there's like a little bit of angst in this, so hopefully you guys don't mind that. It's a really good series, and I wanted to say before I started reading, every other video, there's going to be like a part, like how it says loving, losing, and choosing, like all of those. One part's gonna be losing, one part's gonna be choosing, one part's gonna be loving you. So like the first one for every other video is gonna start off with quotes that are gonna be in the future like chapters. I don't know if that makes any sense. If you would see how the book is structured, it would make a lot more sense than how I'm explaining it. Anyways, that was a long ass fucking intro, so let's get right on into the video. 1. Losing you. It's because you put so much into it later that you suffer. But I just don't understand you, Kei. It's about volleyball, isn't it? I fucked up. I fucked up a lot. I'm such a shitty boyfriend. Let's talk later, okay? Did you not believe that we'd last, Kei? Did you not believe in us? Ace of Hearts. YN didn't mind wearing her heart on her sleeve. Since Kei wasn't the expressive nor initiating type, the girl most often than not was the one declaring how she felt towards the blonde. The girl didn't really know what her boyfriend was thinking most of the time. In a way, if they were doing a round of card games, she was the one playing with an open deck and the cards facing the table. Wanya didn't really care though. She knew that Kei liked her, and that was enough, right? Also, I want to say, excuse the fucking noise, because my cousins like to like stomp on the fucking ceiling. So like, they're like 5, okay, so I'm sorry. Wayne didn't really care though. She knew that Kei liked her, and that was enough. Why would she ask for more than he could give? Besides, if she initiated holding hands or giving a hug, he didn't reject her. However, he was obviously less responsive to it than other people, or when he knows that other people are present. It wasn't really his thing, and she understood that. Wyan didn't want to push anything onto him that he didn't want. She'd often say it was because she liked him, but another reason was that she was scared of what might happen if she were to do so. The last thing that she wanted was to make Kei uncomfortable or anything negative because of it. Time skip. Alright, let's go. Everyone started boarding the bus. It was time for the week-long training camp with Nekama and 3 other schools that were able to practice with the team in Tokyo. YN went back onto the bus and sat by the window. She placed her bag in a small space beneath her seat and one of them next to her. Kei sat next to her with Tadashi to his left. The blonde put his earphones in and listened to some music while blocking out the noise that his teammates had made. He glanced at his girlfriend, who was looking out of the window. Soon, the bus started moving. It was going to be an almost 5-hour trip, and Kei did not want to be awake to spend it. He took off his glasses and hung them from his shirt as he closed his eyes. But as he could do that, as soon as he did that, he felt someone hug him from his right forearm and lean onto it. It didn't really take much thinking to know that it was his girlfriend, so he let her do it without saying anything. He opened his eyes and looked at her, his vision a little blurry because he wasn't wearing his glasses. Although he couldn't see her face properly, he saw that she was in the most comfortable position that she could be in. Kei wasn't really fond of public displays of affection. Other than he wasn't really the type to do so, he also didn't really have it in him to initiate such things. He did want to hold her hand and maybe even hug her without breaking free for a whole minute, but something in him was stopping him from doing so. Maybe he was just scared of showing how he really felt. All of his life, he's always had a strong personality of not giving a damn. Even though before that thing happened with his brother, he was a little nicer, but he still acted that way. So to be suddenly open with your feelings was a weird thing to him. Besides, if YN was okay with him being like that, why would he worry about it? Time skip. Oh my god, is that the Tokyo Tower? Shayo asked Kenma, pointing out to the transmission tower. We've just arrived, and yet these idiots are already saying something dumb. Kei mumbled. Jeez, Beanstalk, give them a break. It's his first time seeing something like that, YN said, walking beside him. The team had just arrived at Shinzen High for the week-long training camp. Before heading towards the gym, where they would do their practices, everybody dropped off their things to their rooms that they were going to stay in. The boys' rooms were nearer, so the first thing The boys' room was near, so they were the first to have the chance to fix their things and change before going into the gym. Alright guys, you go in there first, okay? We'll follow out soon after, Ryan said, waving goodbye to them. While walking towards the other room, the girls could hear the team, specifically the 2 second years, scold Kei for not going with YN. Soon enough, the sound of the door sliding open was heard. Within seconds, the blonde was beside his girlfriend. Ryan giggled before asking him, "What did they say?" "They said as your boyfriend, I should have gone with you." The girl once again giggled as she heard what Yu and Ryunosuke said to Kei. "You really didn't have to. I mean, I have Kyoko and Yachan with me anyways. You can go back now and get ready for practice matches." I told them that, but they were still pissed, so they kept insisting. So I'm just gonna do this. It's annoying enough to have one person shouting at you. To have two, I'd rather have to deal with this than that. Okay then. Although he didn't really want to, Ryan was still glad that Kei was beside her. It felt like one of those ideal boyfriend tropes where the guy was always making sure that you were safe before leaving you. Since Kei wasn't really the type to do such things, she wanted to enjoy the current situation as much as possible and let your mind fantasize that he wasn't doing it against his will. Then they reached their room that was meant for the managers. Kyoko and Hitogo went in first. The managers from the other school were also there, fixing up some of the things that they would need for later. Before going in, YN held up her hand towards Kei. The blonde, who knew what this meant, gave the girl a high five before turning back and walking to his own room to change for the matches. The blank-haired manager, on the other hand, smiled as she watched the boy walk away. It wasn't much, but it was something. Oftentimes, whenever they'd separate rather than hugging, they'd give each other a high five. YN then closed the door and went inside of the room, dropping her bag somewhere. A girl with medium-length hair and a twin-tail hairdo approached her. "Hi, I'm Minoshita Eri, the manager of Ubigawa's high school team." YN shook Ubigawa's manager's hand that was outstretched as she also introduced herself. Following soon after, the two managers from Fukurodani Academy also introduced themselves. The one who had shorter reddish-brown hair was named Shirofuka Yuki, while the other one with the ponytail was called Shizumida Kaori. Soon enough, all of them were acquainted with one another. They didn't take long to unpack their things that they needed for their practice matches. Before they could leave though, Kaori decided to ask a question that had been in the head of all of the managers. "Surname, is that your boyfriend? Wait, surname, was that boy earlier your boyfriend?" Ryan looked at her, surprised with the girl's sudden question, before flashing a smile and saying, "Yeah, he is." Crack in the wall. The practice matches had been going on for around half a day, and Karasuno's team still has yet to win any of them. Other than the tiring matches, the penalties had also taken a toll on the team's energy, other than Shoyo, it seems. YN and the other two Karasuno managers were quick to hand the boys water bottles. Each girl had 4 bottles in their hand. YN gave the first one to her boyfriend, of course. "Here," she said, drink it a lot, okay? I'll come and give you... Drink a lot. I'll come back to give you once... Sorry, I keep misreading that. I'll come back to you once I give away these other 2 bottles, okay? Kei nodded his head and did as he was told as he watched YN give the bottles to Tadashi, Chikara, and Yu. Once the task was done, she approached the blonde who was still looking at her. It was easy to notice how the tall blonde was very exhausted due to their practice matches and the consequences of losing. YN already knew that his stamina wasn't built like the others. Kei had more of an average stamina for an athlete. It wasn't bad, but not necessarily ideal as well, especially with their back to back running up and down a hill. "You should really work on your stamina. It sucks." Oh, how much she wanted to say that to his face, but she couldn't. She knew what kind of guy Kei was. From the short time that they'd gotten to know each other, she was able to see that he knew about his weaknesses. He just didn't like others pointing them out. "You're so sweaty," YN said, grabbing the towel that she had in her pocket and throwing it softly into the blonde's face. "You try doing that," Kei said, referring to the jogging. He had removed the towel from his face that was blocking his view. "I'd rather not." The girl then stuck out her tongue and took the towel that he had in his hand and placed it onto his head. She had then placed her hand onto it, ruffling his hair with the towel, drying it. "You're such a baby." Kei clicked his tongue at her, but let her continue. Although he could have done it himself, she seemed to like pampering people that she cared for. It wasn't really an action only towards him. He had seen his girlfriend take care of Tadashi and even Shoyo because they were all her friends. Although it felt nice to be the one on the receiving end of her love and care, even if it wasn't only reserved for him. Are you sure you're my girlfriend and not some proxy mom? Kei teased. As if you don't like being taken care of, dummy. I don't, Kei said, denying the truth. You smell like the sea, Beanstalk. What? Kei asked, confused. You smell pretty salty. YN had started laughing before moving her hands from the blonde, but leaving the towel where it was. Idiot, Kei said, grabbing the towel that she had left atop his head. The sea doesn't smell from salt. It's from the... It's like some science shit. Dimethyl sulfide molecule in the sea. And it's not the sodium, it's sulfur. Jeez. It makes it so hard. Or you make it so hard to tell jokes in front of you. The blonde smirked at her and said, impressed you remember that from in that little head of yours, Beansprout. Well, you really have to prepare for things when you have such a smart boyfriend. YN grinned at Kei, who was giving her a small smirk in return. Tsukishima, you're up, Daichi said, referring to the next match. You better go ahead, Beanstalk. Make sure that you win this one, or you'll have to deal with one of those fucking penalties, YN said, pushing her boyfriend towards the team. Time skip. They didn't win that match, or any matches after that. It also didn't help the fact that there were some gaps, or that the gaps were so large within the winning of the other team's score. It really showed that they had a lot to learn. Since practice matches were coming to an end, the boys were left to do whatever they wanted to with their spare time. It seems as though they had all collectively agreed on spending it on practicing. With that arrangement, the managers, except Hitaka, who was helping out the freak duo, set off to the kitchen and arranged the meals while the boys tired themselves out. The other managers were near the counter while YN was cooking a meal and Kyoko was preparing the rice. It's a good thing cooking isn't required to be a manager. If it was, I definitely wouldn't be here, Eri, the Ubagawa manager, said. It seems like Surname-san is really killing it, though, Kaori said, Kaori, one of the Fukurodani managers, pointed out. And he plans on becoming a professional chef? Oh, YN thought for a moment before replying. I don't really have an aspiration at the moment, but if I had to pick one, that might be a career I would consider. Well, an aspiring professional cook or not, the Karasuno team is lucky to have you guys around. From the smell alone, I can tell this is going to be really good. Yuki, the other Fukurodani manager, said. Yeah, luckiest one seems to be her boyfriend, though, Kaori said. Yeah, I saw earlier how you took care of him. It was honestly such a heartwarming scene, Eri said. Hey, Surname-chan, how long have you guys been together? Yuki said, about a month now. Oh, did you celebrate your first month? Yuki asked again. YN placed down the spatula, turning off the heat before turning towards the girl. We didn't really do anything special. Really? It's quite the trend to celebrate every month together, Eri said. We just don't really do that. I mean, we've never talked about it. YN fiddled with her hands as she prepared herself for more questions about her relationship with Kei. But you've done some romantic stuff though, right? Kaori asked. We've hugged a few times, but he also lets me hold his hand when I want to. He lets you hold his hand? He doesn't, initiate it or anything? Once again, Kaori was the one who voiced out the question. He isn't really the type to be intimate. He lets me do it when I want to, though. Now that's not fair, Yuki pointed out, pouting. Shouldn't a relationship be a give and take kind of thing? You can't just let one person do all of the work. They'll get tired. I agree. It's not like you're getting anything back of what you're giving. A person should return their partner's efforts, unless these efforts are always over the top, but I don't really see what you're doing as the case. Or I don't really get the feeling that that's the case, Kaori said. That's just us, though, Yuki reassured YN. You don't have to take our words to heart, but I really do think that not only one person should show how they feel in a relationship. By showing how you feel, you also get to show how they're special to you. YN only looked down, taking in everything that they had just said. She wanted to defend Kei, but it's not like they were really bashing him. But he was still kind. He didn't deserve to be seen as how he was being viewed right now. She didn't really have the words, though. She couldn't articulate anything to deflect of what they had just said to her. Soon, the other managers left the teams and they all started eating dinner. Only Kyoko and YN remained in the room. The first year took off her apron and neatly folded it before placing it onto the counter. I'll, call the boys to get dinner as well, Kyoko-san. I'll head off first. Before the girl could leave the room, she heard her senpai call her. YN, don't let what they had said get to you, okay? If you're content with your status, then that's alright. I might not be the right person to ask about this since I have a lot of lack of romantic relationships, but I want you to know, if you need me there, I'll be there. Okay? Thank you, Kyoko-san. When YN had finally left the room, she took a deep breath and held it in for a few seconds before slowly breathing it out. She didn't really want the words of the other managers to get to her, but it did. Oh, how it hit her so hard. She knew it wasn't really fair that she was the only one who initiated all the romantic stuff. She was contented with how things were going, though. She had to be. How dare anyone ask, or how dare she ask more than what she wanted, if it was already there? If she looked for anything more, that was all because of her selfishness, right? What did she expect when she became Kei's girlfriend? She knew that he wasn't really the expressive type, and it was times where he was, but he was quick to outweigh it with teasing. Still, though, there were times where he showed that he cared. She sure had more times compared to his, but why compare? Still, it would be nice if he would hug me once in a while and act because he wanted to, and not because I showed that I wanted to. YN gripped her hand as she bit her lip and scoffed and scolded herself in her thoughts. Kei was hers and she was his. That was enough. That should be enough. Besides, it was a growing relationship, and this was only the first bump in the road. Soon enough, she'll overgrow these selfish desires and laugh it off like it was nothing. However, there was something inside of her that feared that she might not ever get over it. This desire would just keep piling onto her and get stronger and stronger. And who knows what would happen if if that pile were to be tipped over. She knew how she got when she was overwhelmed with her emotions. It would be chaos, she was sure of it, but she didn't stop it now. Or if she didn't stop it now, who knows what might happen. Sadly, the time for chaos was nearer than she had thought, and there was no use of trying to stop something inevitable. Replaceable. YN went to the gym where the Karasuno boys were practicing. YN went to the gym that all the Karasuno boys were using for their individual practices. The girl looked up at the sign that said it was indeed the first gym before walking in. The girl said as she entered the gym, "You should pack up soon and head to the cafeteria to eat." "One more, please," the boy said. "We'll do it soon, We'll do it soon, surname. Just a few more rounds," Daichi said, smiling to the girl. She smiled as well as she looked at the hard-working team. "I think time's running a little too fast." YN looked at Ryunosuke, who was going back into position after commenting on the pace that they had had. Her eyes soon landed on the blonde who had just picked up his knee pads. The girl didn't hesitate to walk towards him. You should finish up as well and eat. It's not like I plan on staying here any longer," Kei said as he looked at the team, who was still pushing themselves, even though it had already been past dark and they should have been eating dinner. "It's just a club. Why put so much effort into it?" the blonde had stated before walking away. The blonde started walking away, leaving his girlfriend confused of what he had just said. Focusing on his voice, YN tried to listen to what he said next. Kei was already outside of the gym, so YN had to peek out and get a hint of what he was saying. "It's because you put so much into it that you suffer later." Kei wasn't really expecting anyone to hear that. It was more of him just thinking out loud. So when he heard his girlfriend say something, after he'd walked 5 meters away from the gym already, he was caught off guard. What? His girlfriend stood in front of him, or just a few steps away from him. It was obvious that she was confused and surprised by what he had just said. "What do you mean, it's just a club?" "I said what I said." "Then why?" YN said. "Why what?" "Why did you even join it in the first place?" YN's voice was getting louder and louder, and Kei was surprised by that. He heard her speak loud before, but never with an angry expression. "Why are you so affected by it? It's obvious in his voice that Kei was annoyed. She didn't really know anything about it, so why was she angry? Then again, maybe that's it, because she didn't know, so she wouldn't understand. Because I just don't understand you, Kei. At this point, Kei was sure the team was hearing Ryan talk. They were. Not wanting to listen to their first argument, the team didn't need to be told twice, when Daichi told him to hurry up and pack so they could go to the cafeteria. Kei looked at the team who made sure that they left before confronting Ryan. Ask. Huh? For a moment, Ryan's voice died down. She was calm again, for now. You said you didn't understand, so ask. The girl looked into his eyes, which held the same amusement as it did whenever he got bored or annoyed. For the first time in a while, this gaze was directed at her, and her chest ached. Why don't you exert any fucking effort into volleyball? I don't really see a reason to, Kei admitted. Do you even like volleyball? I don't necessarily hate it. Then do you like it? Ryan concluded. There was a short span of eerie silence before the girl talked again. I don't understand. You like volleyball, but you don't show any effort because you don't see a reason to. Kei didn't respond to that. She wasn't asking anything. She was just reiterating points that he had said earlier. He knew that she was only voicing out what she had heard and piecing them together to make sense of what he said. To Kei, it was easy to understand, but to her, it looked like a 1,000-piece puzzle. If given the chance, would you leave volleyball? Would you replace it with something else? Is volleyball that replaceable in your life? Once again, he didn't respond, mostly because he didn't know what to say. It's because you put so much effort into it that you suffer later, Kei said, repeating his words. That's it, isn't it? Kei felt a little angry. It wasn't really something, but for some reason, it bothered him that she was looking so far into it. It bothered him that she was seeing something that he'd much rather avoid. You don't really want to expect much, huh? So you pull back from the beginning to avoid getting hurt, I see. Ryan said as she finally understood the ancient relic of what she had been studying for years. The girl looked at him with tired eyes before saying, Is that it? There was something annoying with people finally reading you. It's not that Kei didn't want Ryan to understand him, but her suddenly seeing the actual meaning of why he refrains from pushing himself so generally does make him feel more vulnerable to her. He already gave her enough reason to hurt him when he had showed how he felt. Now she was getting deeper into knowing what really hurt him. Do you even think it won't work out, so you're just pulling yourself away before even trying? It hit him. Kei finally knew why she was acting this way. At this point, she wasn't really even talking about volleyball. She was talking about them. Maybe she didn't know it. Maybe she did. But the point was, she was. This isn't about volleyball, is it? Kei said. I'm just concerned with your overall performance of the team, the girl said, or at least that's what she was trying to believe. Stop lying. I'm not. Ryan immediately avoided her gaze from his and exhaled, obviously annoyed. Has she been projecting her feelings through the lack of effort in his volleyball playing skills? She wasn't she? She finally broke as she yelled at him without realizing that she was mad. And it wasn't really about her concerns of being the manager as a team. How selfish of her to use something like this against him to release her pent-up frustrations. Fuck. Kei was once again surprised with the girl's sudden outburst. He had never saw her shout a cuss word out with such anger in her voice. Ryan, I don't think you should talk to me right now. She didn't want to hurt him. She was overwhelmed with her emotions, and she couldn't really stop herself. She knew that if she started something bad, she wouldn't be able to stop herself. It would only get worse. If she started to talk about how she had been bothered with him not being as expressive as she was, who knows what she might have started saying. I think I've had enough. Good night. Ryan started to walk away, not looking back. Kei, on the other hand, couldn't stop but stare at her retreating figure. He sighed to himself and said, Shit, what am I gonna do? Regrets. Ryan slid the door open to her room that was reserved for the managers. Stepping in, she blankly stared inside of the dark room. After closing the door, she clenched her fists and sat on the floor, hugging her knees. Tears cascaded down her cheeks as she remembered her outburst. Fuck, I fucked up a lot. Kei was just outside of the cafeteria. He heard his team, specifically you, talk from outside. It couldn't distract him from the thoughts that he had still in his mind. He couldn't help but feel guilty for Wyan's anger towards him. It was his fault that she felt the way that she did, and it was all because he couldn't bring himself to be fully vulnerable around her. Instead of entering the cafeteria to have dinner, he took a turn and headed towards one of the comfort rooms. Water poured from the faucet as he washed his face, watching droplets get onto his glasses. Water trickled down his face, camouflaging the tears that were coming from his eyes. His hands had gripped the sink as he had leaned his head back and closed his eyes. I am such a shitty boyfriend. Time skip. Daichi and Koshi looked at the others with worried eyes. It had been 30 minutes, but still, no sign of the couple. They had asked if Wyan had eaten beforehand, to ease their worries a little, but they got no as an answer. The two knew that the team's only couple had gotten into an argument. The loud voice they had heard from the girl earlier was far too different from the usual teasing tone that she always had. They had hoped that Wyan and Kei would be able to solve these problems quickly, but by the looks of it, they were really taking their time. They saw the blonde walk in 2 minutes later. They knew things weren't good. Kei's shirt was wet, and both Kei and Kushi knew it wasn't sweat. The blonde had left practice earlier than them, and they knew they saw him. The last time that they saw him, he was dry. Daichi gave the team, who was also staring at Kei, a look that told them to not question anything. Not wanting to face his wrath, they all decided to keep quiet and finish eating. When Kei had sat down in front of the vice captain and captain, the pair looked at each other and sighed softly. Tsukishima, eat, Daichi said. Kei snapped out of his thoughts. He didn't even notice that he was just staring at his food. He grabbed the phone out of his pocket and checked his notifications. Empty. Of course it was. Kei wanted to text her so badly. He wanted to apologize for not being a good boyfriend, but he knew better than to apologize through text. He also wasn't sure if she was awake, given that she wasn't in the cafeteria. Wait, did she even eat? He stared at his phone with his hand covering over the messaging app. I shouldn't. I'll ask Suga-san, maybe he knows. Suga-san, Kei said, catching the attention of the gray-haired setter. Has Wyan eaten anything? Koshi shook his head and followed with a, we've also asked if she'd eaten before us. It still seems like she hasn't had any dinner. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't, though, Daichi said. I'll bring Wyan-chan some food, since we're in the same room anyways, Hitoko said. Thank you, Kei said before eating his dinner. Hitoko was a little surprised that someone like Kei had just thanked her. She knew that something was wrong, obviously from the shouting that she had heard, but not just because he was thankful. The newest Karasuno manager had just felt worried that about her friend who was probably alone. Wyan ran her hands through her hair as she took some deep breaths. Her fingers had hit something in her hair that she'd forgotten was even there in the first place. She'd grabbed it from her hair and took it. On her palm was a sunflower clip that Kei had gave her just 2 hours. What's my voice doing? On the palm of her hand was a sunflower clip that Kei had just gotten her after 2 days of being her boyfriend. Once again, the girl frowned at herself. How dumb can I be? Her thumb went over the clip, caressing the sunflower. Kei was never the expressive type, sure, but he did show that he cared. The girl rubbed her eye with her vacant hand and cried a little once again, when she was reminded of how idiotic she had been to even imply that Kei found her easy to replace. She felt selfish again. The outburst she had earlier wasn't because Kei hadn't shown that she was special. It was because she was discontent with the amount they had already offered her, when it should have been enough. Kei was already a great person, but she let her pettiness blind her, and not seeing that he really did care about her. He wasn't the touchy type, sure, but he was still caring. He'd often make sure that she takes care of herself, although the questions were often in a teasing manner. He really just had a different way of showing his feelings. They were quite subtle, but they were still there. I shouldn't have done that, Wyan said to herself. I told him not to talk to me for a while. What am I supposed to do? Idiot, you selfish idiot, Wyan told herself. The girl suddenly heard a knock from the door. As a response, she moved away from the door. Hawaiian quickly wiped her tears from her eyes, drying her face. When she had the door slid open, it revealed Hitaka, who was holding a tray of food in her hands. Hawaiian-chan. Hitaka's chest tightened when she saw the state that her friend was in. Carefully, she placed down the tray on the floor and hugged the girl, who had seemed to be crying for a while. You might get dehydrated. You should have some water. She could feel the girl in her arms shake her head. Yeah, Chan, I'm such an idiot. No, Hawaiian-chan, you're not. But I am, the girl said. I've hurt Kei and myself. What kind of person does that? An idiot, only. Boom, guys, that was the first episode of the sequel. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Hopefully you guys enjoy. You guys are in for a good ride in this story because it's really good. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you subscribe and tap the notification bell. I also forgot to mention, this is my 900 subscribers. How the fuck did I get 900? I literally just got 800 like 2 days ago, like Nani. As I said, I'm kind of scared for the face reveal because like y'all are gonna know I'm ugly, and that's gonna be like, ooh, yikes. Anyways, I just want to say thank you guys for watching, and if you did enjoy, make sure you subscribe and tap the notification bell so you're notified every single time I post a video, and also like the video because it is something for the YouTube algorithm. And comment down below some requests. Try to make it like a character that's like kind of known, because some people are requesting characters I've like, or like duos that I've never seen before. Like somebody requested like a Tsukishima Kei one, and I couldn't find one anywhere, so I'm sorry I can't do your request. But I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching, and have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.